Miriam and Aaron, Deborah, Samson, David, Solomon, and so forth. The book will also cover all the major events, from the story of Adam and Eve to the Exodus from Egypt, and on to the conquest of the land, the rise of the United Monarchy, the fall of Jerusalem, the Babylonian exile, and Israel's eventual return to its homeland. Along with people and events, the Bible's major passages will themselves be examined, all the most important prophecies and psalms, laws, songs, and sayings. In going through the Bible, however, this book will focus not only on what the text says, but on the larger question of what a modern reader is to make of it, how it is to be read. This will mean examining two quite different ways of understanding the Bible, those of modern biblical scholars and of ancient interpreters. By modern biblical scholars is meant a rather specific group of people, and not all modern people who study the Bible. Starting around 150 years ago, a major effort was launched in universities and divinity schools in different countries, principally in Germany and Scandinavia, Holland, England, and the United States, to understand the Bible afresh, reading it scientifically and without any presuppositions. A great deal of new information had just then begun to emerge that might shed light on the world of the Bible's creation. The fledgling science of archaeology had started to probe the distant past, first uncovering individual artifacts and treasures from ancient times, later whole towns and cities. Sometimes what the archaeologists found included bits of writing, inscriptions from here and there, indeed whole libraries of documents written by ancient Egyptians, Babylonians, and other neighboring civilizations of biblical Israel. These texts were deciphered and translated. Using this new information, biblical scholars found themselves able to trace with new accuracy the whole history of the region and fill in many of the blanks left by the Bible itself. They also began to reflect on the nature of Israelite society and its institutions in the light of those neighboring civilizations. Most of all, they set themselves to analyzing the Bible itself in a new way, trying to fit its words to the emerging historical picture, and to understand when and how and for what purpose different parts of it were written. This effort to reinterpret the Bible has been carried on with increasing intensity ever since, and it has produced spectacular results. We are now able to piece together answers to some of the most basic questions about the Bible. Where did the people of Israel come from? How did they come to believe in the existence of only one God? How did they worship Him? What do we know about specific historical events? For example, when did Moses live, and who was the wicked Pharaoh that would not let the Israelites leave Egypt? Moreover, what about the Bible itself? When were its various books written, and by whom? All these questions and their answers belong under the heading Modern Biblical Scholarship. As this book proceeds through the different parts of the Bible, it will survey most of what modern scholars have discovered about the meaning of the text and its historical background. But that is only part of the material to be studied. Along with modern biblical scholars, this book will examine another set of interpreters who lived long before the archaeologists, historians, and linguists came along. These are the ancient interpreters, a largely anonymous group of scholars who flourished from around 300 BCE to 200 CE or so. By the time the ancient interpreters came along, most of the texts that make up our Bible had been around for quite a while, many for hundreds and hundreds of years, in fact. But this was still a very important moment in the Bible's development, and these ancient interpreters played a significant role. It was a time when, as never before, the Bible had become the central focus of Israel's religion. Reading Scripture and doing what it said was now the very essence of Judaism, and, in its wake, Christianity. But what did Scripture mean, and what was it telling people to do? For various reasons, ordinary readers did not feel capable of deciding such things. It was up to the experts, the ancient interpreters, to explain the Bible to them. As a result, the work of these ancient interpreters proved to be tremendously significant. As will be seen, they had a rather idiosyncratic